have to be an animal, or you're either a predator or you're the prey in prison. So
Right.
I became the biggest predator because I probably was the most person that was afraid the most. So I became one of the biggest predators, and I had the gang to enforce a lot of stuff, and might was the way. And however, I had kids. And in having kids, I just got up one day in the prison. Some bad things had been happening. A lot of people were being killed. It was the most violent prison at the time.
Right.
We probably 20 deaths in 18 months. There was a killing, it seemed like, once a month, and a beating all the time, and somebody was always getting, it was a bloody place.
Yeah.
So I got up one day and I just said, I don't like who I am. And the philosophy I was taking, which was a Machiavellian philosophy, I needed to change that. So
you did.
So I did. I looked at Jesus, and I studied the book of Mark. I always had a bent for philosophy and theology, and I was studying that on my own so that I could debate with priests, nuns, and all religious people and tell them how foolish they were and that they couldn't prove anything that was written.
Uh-huh.
Okay, well...
and where are you now?
Well, now I'm called.
You're still arguing.
I'm still arguing with them, and but however,
from the same circles.
But I'm no longer that. It's a scary thing to be where I am because from an atheist, I would be defined a Christian mystic. That is, some people call a nut that believes he's been in contact with the Creator of the universe, and so I would be. And I'm Roman Catholic, but I'm non-denominational in my belief and everything else like that. So I know God is. It's a scary thing to know, believe it or not. I really know that I know God, and my life has been blessed. And I don't know, I still am. Stacy knows. What kind of a priest am I, Stacy? Go ahead.
Drinking, swearing, fighting.
Priest, yeah. I have all the flaws that every human being has, and probably worse than others. But I am Jesus' priest. To make no doubt about it, I am. I'm not the Pope's priest. I'm not anybody's. I belong to Christ. I live for Christ, and that's all I live for. I have a buckle that says Jesus first. It's been on my waist now for 35 years. I'm still changing. I'm still working, obviously, but. If you want to know who I am, that's who I really am.
Now, you had been out in Arizona, right? And you came to Connecticut because Njaya got hurt at the Coast Guard Academy.
That's right. I was 22 years in Arizona.
Right.
I loved it.
And that is a great story, by the way.
Well,
That whole thing. We talked about this at length.
We've talked about a little bit about that. Yes, I was out there 22 years in Arizona, and then I went to Michigan. With my one of my wives, Angie's mother.
One of your many wives.
One of my several. Okay, and then her and I had problems, and I raised Angie and sisters mostly as a single parent in the house, and I was. But when she went in the Coast Guard Academy, she was going to go first. Well, we thought she was going to go in the Naval. She was accepted to the Naval, but she chose to go here. And of course, I'm an Easterner. Okay, her wrist got shattered 10 days into the program in 2003, and I was on my way back to the monastery in Arizona. I was going to the Benedictine monastery, which is the house I come out of as an oblate, and I was going back there to spend the rest of my years at the monastery. But I did a detour, and I went to Washington State, where I have a partner that I grew up with that lives in Washington, to say goodbye to him and see that he was all right and everything. And then by the time I got across the country, because I was fooling around, I wasn't in a hurry, and I was sightseeing because it was summertime. They go in July. I walked in his house, and I was only there 2 hours, and I got the call that Angie had been hurt. So when I called up, I could tell that she was drugged out, and then I got in touch with the ministers at the place, and they checked her out, and I was immediately on my way back to Connecticut, and I came out here because of her and the condition she was in at the time. And I got out here, and I had all my problems. That's a whole nother story that has been written now. Father Jay's got it written someplace. It's on one of his publications. When I got out here, I was retired. I wasn't going to do any kind of ministry. I was strictly out here for my daughter, and in the midst of that, I became broke, even though I was disabled, but I had no money, and I couldn't get any help from anybody here, churches and I was very angry. And because of a reporter and some things that worked out, I ended up with 3 days at a motel through Catholic Charities, and Kenton Robinson was the reporter. If I had not gone to him, I probably wouldn't have got help just for the 3 days. And in the midst of what I was doing, I was upset, and I was at this motel out in 85, and sometime around in the midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, one of those communications came through from the Holy Spirit, and I was told to go and minister to people at some park in the middle of New London, the homeless people. And I was not in good shape at the time, in the sense that I didn't want to hear this. I had a daughter in the Coast Guard Academy, and I was saying, God, go away, or whatever you want to say to me.
I got my problems.
I got
to
my
deal with.
problems. Yeah, I need to take, but I was directly. There was no mistaking the order, and I was to put on my clergy clothes, and at that time of night, really upset because of other things, I put the clothes on, and I went down to New London, and there was a monument there in a park that I'd never been to before, and I met a guy who was sitting on the bench, Grandpa Joe Pippin, and I go up to him, and I figured, he's an old drunk and everything, and as I go up to him at, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, he's sitting there, and he said, and I'm with my black on and my cross and my Benedictine thing, and I'm, you can't miss it, I'm a priest, and he says, God told me to tell you he loves you. And I went like, I need that. I said, yeah, apparently I know. He said, no. He said, no, Father. He said, God told me to tell you that he loves you. And of course, for me, that was confirmation, is what we call confirmation, that I was supposed to be there. So I sat down and I talked with him, and he wasn't drunk, although he told me that he tipped it and had come out of the hospital, and he had been drunk, and they released him, and he was there for the night. And the next thing, 2 kids come out of the bushes, and I met them, a guy named Jason and another fellow, and then I dealt with them, and then the next night I come back, and the original crew ended up, I had 7 men and the first lady of homelessness, and they told me what they needed done, and I was able to have the skills to do it, and overnight, Jesus, it was about Jesus' ministry, which
That was the start of your park bench
that was the
ministries.
start of my park bench ministry.
Yeah,
It
that's
just
pretty amazing.
exploded. Yeah.
It's truly amazing. That was the Park Bench Apostles.
That's right. That's the community.
Now,
Yeah.
Tambria, you were homeless at one time. Now, is
Many
that
times.
okay? And now I have assumed that that's how you.
No, actually,
She was the
I
worst.
had come out the same year I was engaged. I was supposed to be getting married October of '03. And a month before the wedding, I got dumped.
Oh.
And so then I was homeless, but I was able to stay with coworkers, various coworkers on their couch or whatever. But, of course, totally angry because I had a history in the past of being homeless, and this was just like the worst nightmare.
Right.
That, stuck in 3,000 miles from home. I had come out from Seattle. And eventually Mrs. Malov, the elder Mrs. Malov, rented to me above Malov's Jewelers, and without any references or anything, just really saved me from meeting you in the park.
Yeah.
Again, God's timing. Didn't have to go that far into that world of fear. And so when I met Father, I was at Mug's Coffee Shop, and I was just sitting there. There was poetry there, and I like to write.